Oh my goodness, guys, the stock market absolutely exploded today. The S&P 500 went up 1.2%, the Dow went up 0.5%, the Nasdaq 100 up almost 2%, and the Russell 2000 went up 1.5%. So I want to break down some technicals today, go over a bunch of stocks to buy now, and I also want to share with you guys what I've been doing in the stock market. So hit the like button, subscribe, go down below. You might as well get some free money. $30 from M1 Finance and 2 stocks from WeBull. Those are valued up to $1,850. You could also check out my Patreon for buy and sell alerts, call outs, morning update videos, more access to me throughout the day. All of those are linked right down below. So let's get into it. What you guys see right here is SPY, also known as SPY, and we completely broke out of the ascending triangle today that we've been talking about over these past couple of videos. We can see clear resistance at about $398, $400, but we were uptrending into that resistance pretty much all of March. But you also notice again, all of March, we were struggling at $398. So the fact that we squeezed into this ascending triangle, we broke out today. The SPY hit an all-time high. Well, here on ThinkOrSwim, it's telling us all-time high was a couple days ago on that massive candle after hours. But I'm not really counting that. I'm looking more at today as the all-time high. If you look at the S&P 500 right here, you can see it hit an all-time high at 4,020.63. And I mean, look at what happened in the last 10-20 minutes. I mean, the market went from 4,010 and it ripped all the way to 4,020. If we go back to SPY, you guys can see SPY went from 399.50, 400, all the way to 401 now in the aftermarket hours. So markets are absolutely ripping. Tech stocks did very well today. Pretty much all my stocks on my watch list right here, other than the ones that are being covered by my face. You know, we had Tesla actually closed red today. Same with Alibaba, Chewy, NNDM, and Colgate, and AMC. But other than those, all of my stocks here again are pretty much green other than those. And taking a look quickly at QQQ, which is the Nasdaq heavy ETF here, it pretty much tracks the Nasdaq. We called out exactly what happened. You guys remember a couple days ago, I was talking about the 180 and the 50 moving averages here on the 4-hour chart, how we were looking like we were in a descending triangle and we were seeing resistance at those points. And I said, look, guys, if we break those levels, we're going to most likely fill the gap to 323, followed by 325. And that's exactly what we did. Now we're right at 325. And I believe if QQQ could take this out, we'll probably end up getting to about 330, 331. That gives it about another $5, $6 of upside. And granted, guys, the RSI is overbought. It's at 75 here on the 4-hour chart. So I say we do need to pull back a little bit before launching higher. But the fact that we are showing this momentum in the first place, that is a very good sign. And on top of that, I mean, guys, look at the VIX. Do you all recall I was talking about the 4-hour chart here on the VIX, how it was at a low point at about 18, 19, 20, and I was saying, yeah, there might be a spike up, and initially we did see a spike up in volatility a couple days ago. If you guys remember, we went from 20 on the VIX to 24, we dropped down to about 18, rallied back to about 22, but now we're really starting to see the downwards pressure on the VIX, volatility dying off. And we're at a low point on the 4-hour chart. And if we pull back to the yearly chart, we're at a low point as well. So when's the last time the VIX was this low? You have to go back to the 3-year chart and look back at, wow, back in 2019, back in December, it was at these levels. So I think we're going to end up seeing some lower volatility in the near-term future, probably more upside in the markets, quite honestly. And that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'd love to know what you think. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, as always. And for me, stocks that I'm holding, what I've been doing, the truth is, I mean, I'm still holding on to my go-to swing trades. Tesla is one of them. I'm in a bunch of EVs right now. Tesla is one of them. This one did not do well. I mean, it was doing well earlier in the day, but remember, like I said, it closed down a little bit. We almost got to plus 700, but the fact that we failed at $690, $700, that's not the best sign considering that is where we failed all of March. So I'm not going to be extremely bullish, technically speaking, in the short term on Tesla until we break 700, 690, and start pushing to the mid 700s. Like I said before, that is where the tides are going to turn, and as of now, we're just not quite there yet. NIO had a very good day earlier. It still closed up almost 2%, but earlier in the day, it was up to $42 pre-market. It closed under $40, and you guys can see we're seeing a bit of a descending triangle on this intraday chart forming on NIO. So this leads me to believe, we might take the 39.50 lows out and go to 38, 37 again. But as always, with these descending triangles, if we break out, we could end up going back to the highs from today, $42. So I'm not too worried, but just understand, again, there is a descending triangle on the intraday here, and this is worth monitoring for, short-term price action. NIO, I'm in that. ChargePoint, CHPT, I'm still in that. And this did pretty well today. You can't lie. It went up 12%. So I'm super happy about that. We were buying this one all the way down pretty much. My most recent buy was at about $20. Now it's at $30. So I'm very, very happy about ChargePoint. And SLV, I'm still in that. Nothing much changed there. SLV did well today. Pretty much everything did well today, guys. Silver, gold, stocks, S&P, Nasdaq, Russell, large caps, small caps, everything across the board when it comes to the broad indexes, at least here in the U.S. I'm sure they did well abroad as well. But from what I was looking at here, very, very, very strong day. And of course, I'm still in Tattooed Chef. That didn't do much either today. And I think Tattooed Chef is going to gain a bunch of momentum. If it breaks 21, it needs to break 21, and probably from $22 to 25, that's the next big gap coming. So what are you guys doing? Let me know down below in the comments. I would love to know as always. Now let's go over a bunch of stocks that I'm watching. I'm not in these yet. Well, I actually own Google, but that's in my long-term investment portfolio. We'll talk about Google here in a little bit, but all these other ones I'm not in quite yet. Well, Exxon's also one I'm in. XOM, we'll talk about that first. And you guys can see Exxon Mobil ended up going up almost 3% today, and you all know I've mentioned this a bunch on the channel, and from if you've watched me a couple months ago, Exxon's one that I've been in. I've been buying since the low mid 40s, and I was going to buy more in the low 50s and never got there, so I'm still pretty much holding on to that initial position, and now it seems like we're not going low 50s. If you guys look at the chart here, we broke above, we held above not only $55, but now we just broke above the 50 moving average. We held above the 180 moving average as well. And now we're about to test the high here from the past couple of trading days. We've struggled at about 58. That is the high. So I think if this point breaks, we also take out $58.75, $59. Exxon Mobil is going to break out. It's already showing the initial signs of breaking out since we broke above both moving averages here on the 4-hour. We just need to wait a tad bit more, and we'll see again what it does at about $58. So Exxon Mobil, I'm really liking the price action here. Uber is another one that we called out a little bit ago. I think it was last week. It did end up holding $52, and like I mentioned last week, guys, Uber is in an ascending triangle. We have resistance at about $59, $60, and we've been uptrending over the past couple, about almost 3 months at this point. The past 3 months, we've been uptrending into that resistance at about $60, and today we went up 5.6%. Very strong move today on Uber, and I believe if we break out of this point right here, this kind of looks like a head and shoulder forming, so the neckline's right here at $57.60. If this point breaks, expect another 5% gap up to about $60. Then from $60, if that point were to break, 64 is next, and overall the ascending triangle would be playing out at that point. We'd be full on breaking out, and we could end up getting from 60 to about 65 So although Uber is a bit overbought here in the short term, if we see a bit of a pullback, we end up getting out of $58. This is going to be a nice breakout that has about 5-10% upside. And QuantumScape today, we got some good news. The lithium battery producer stock popped 9% after the company announced it has met the requirements to close a $100 million investment by Volkswagen. The auto company will now test QuantumScape's solid-state lithium metal cells in their labs in Germany. So this is a good sign, and I'm not an investor in QuantumScape or any of these battery plays, to be quite honest. And this one has seen a bit of resistance over the past couple of months at about $75, and overall the support has been at about $42. So that's the range we're trading in, and obviously if you're looking at this range, it's clear that we're more towards the bottom of the range than the top, and we're struggling right by the 180 and the 50 moving averages here on the 4-hour chart, and we're still showing, or in, shall I say, this overall descending triangle pattern, if you guys can see what I just drew there. So for me, guys, QuantumScape's a no-go quite yet. The catalyst is fantastic. I'm happy about that, but I need to see it break probably the mid-50s, both the descending triangle resistance, the moving averages here as well, and then from $55, there's a pretty big gap to fill, up to about $61, followed by $65, followed by anywhere from $72 to about $75. So I like QuantumScape. We just have to be patient and wait for the confirmation on this one. And Shopify is one that I called out this morning. If you guys caught that, let me know in the comments down below. And by the way, I uploaded a video earlier on YouTube today, which is typically what I do every single day on Patreon. Well, it is what I do every single day on Patreon for my top tier patron members. So go check out that video from earlier. If you guys are interested in that type of content, you could check out my Patreon. That's linked right down below. And we talked about this and mentioned how it was gapping out slowly above 1120. We ended up filling the entire gap to 1175. We closed at 1155, but earlier we were pretty much at 1175, 1180. So that's a good sign. And now 1180 is a big spot of resistance, no doubt about it. And I believe if this point breaks, there's a big gap to fill, up to about 1230, 1250. That's about 4 or 5% upside. If that point were to break, I'm thinking higher 1200s, heck, maybe even 1300. That's about 10% upside from where we are right now. So Shopify, I love it. A lot of momentum building up here in the short term, and we're off about 20% from the all-time high still. We're still in a bear market, so this could very well explode, whether it's next week and the next couple of weeks. I think this one is solid. Google is another one which did so well today, guys, and I'm super freaking impressed with how Google has held up over these past couple of weeks. I mean, we've seen stocks, even big tech names, Amazon, Apple, and Amazon's been struggling for a couple months at this point, and it did very well early 2020, but it's been stagnant as of late, and a lot of these big tech names haven't been doing so well as of late, but Google is just the outlier. It's the outlier. It almost hit an all-time high today. It went up 3.3%, and as a lot of these growth names have been getting hit, the tech names have been getting hit, Google's just consolidated from 2050 to about 2150. It really hasn't been budging at all. It's been moving in this little 3 to 5% window, which is completely okay with me. And again, that's just so much better than a lot of these other stocks, most other stocks out there. And this is why Google's my number one position in my M1 Finance account, which you guys can see in the playlist of my YouTube channel. Go to the playlist and look at all those episodes of how I built this $0 account all the way to where it is right now. Google's my biggest position in there. It's about a 10% holding, and I love it. I'm absolutely in love with this company. And never marry a stock, guys. Never fall in love with it. I'm kind of being not sarcastic, but you guys get it, right? You're not supposed to fall in love completely to the point where even if the company does bad, you never sell because you love the stock so much. Of course, if Google were to fundamentally deteriorate, I'd sell out of it. But as long as it's doing what it's doing right now, performing, I love the stock. And based on today's price action, we completely broke out of the wedge that I just drew for you guys. We're almost at all-time highs. Heck, I wouldn't even be surprised if we hit all-time highs next trading session. And if we take the all-time highs out, who knows, guys? We might be seeing a huge leg up in Google, whether it's up to $2,200, $2,185, $2,190, $2,250. These are the areas, the different levels that I'm personally looking out for. And that is, again, for GOOG, also known as Alphabet. And AMC, I mentioned earlier in this video, it was one of the red stocks, one of the only red stocks in my watch list today. And it was because they announced that they, quote unquote, might issue a 500 million share offering. Wait a second. Was it 500 million shares or $500 million worth of shares? That's very different. Let me just double check that. Okay, 500 million shares. Wow. Okay. So that's going to dilute investors that are already in this stock. I'm not in this stock, but it went down, and rightfully so. It went down about 8% today. And based on the technicals here, guys, we're back into more of a bearish setup, I'd say. We can see here, if I zoom in on this hourly chart, open up these oval tools, you can see left shoulder. We have the head right here, and then we have the right shoulder, and that is a very sloppy looking drawing on my part. But you guys can see the head and shoulders intact. If this point breaks about $8.90 to about $9, which is right where we are now, that is not going to be too pretty. I think we might end up obviously taking the lows out from a couple days ago at that point, but we could go a lot lower than $8.90. We might end up going back to the low $8 level, high 7s. So be careful with AMC. I'm interested in seeing more clarity around what's going on with this 500 million share offering. So what do you guys think about that? I'm actually curious. Let me know in the comments down below. And the last stock for today is Snapchat, ticker symbol SNAP. This one has been struggling as well. It's down about 25% from its all-time high. It's currently at a lower high here at about $55. It's trading under, well, now it's peaking a little bit above the 50 moving average here, but it's still under the 180 moving average. And we also notice a big support at about $48, which Snapchat has not been under $48 all of 2021 so far. So what I'm seeing here is a descending triangle, right? Support $48. We're downtrending lower highs into that support. And one of two things could happen here, right? We get rejected at 55, we go back down, we take out the 48 support, we end up going a lot lower. And I'm not thinking that's going to happen considering tech is slowly turning. Markets, well, at least the tech heavy stocks are slowly turning. The markets are heating back up again, especially tech stocks. So I think this is going to happen, and by this I mean we break 55, and I could be wrong, guys. I could be wrong, but I believe 55 could break. We gap up to about $60. That's another big resistance right by the 180 moving average. Then if that were to break, it's probably smooth sailing for Snapchat from there. Maybe we break $65. We go to about $68. So Snapchat is one that I don't own, but I might nibble some next week. And out of all these stocks we mentioned today, I own Exxon and I own Google, and obviously the ones we mentioned earlier, but I'm very interested in Snapchat right now and Shopify. Those are the two that out of the ones today that I don't already own, Snapchat, Shopify are the two that I am most likely and closest to putting money into these stocks. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as well. Let's try and get the next big goal is 25,000 subscribers here. And actually, 50,000, guys. We're going to get to 50,000 soon. So subscribe to the channel. Get yourself some free money down below. $30 from M1 Finance. All you have to do is deposit any amount of money using my link, and you get $30 free. You could also get 2 stocks from WeBull. Those are valued up to $1,850. Simply deposit $100 using my link, and you get those 2 free stocks. Feel free to also check out my Patreon for buy and sell alerts, call outs, morning update videos, more access to me throughout the day. That is on Patreon. And again, all of those are linked right down below. So I'll catch you all in the next video. Thanks for watching. As always, make sure to follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram at StockSurfest. Definitely go follow me on those platforms. I'll catch you all in the next video. Again, thanks for watching.